ahead and get started. Any questions? Shaq, you're starting until next Saturday night?
Probably. I know he misses the defensive side. We just need more Shaqs. But he'll play some offense. He'll probably play some defense as well.
You know, going into this game, everybody asked about altitude.
Yeah.
Get beyond that and everything. Kind of help you in the fourth quarter. Generally, you got some non-offensive scores. You ran very few offensive plays. I think that helped the team a little bit toward the end of the game to stay strong.
I think anytime you get big plays, wherever they can come from, really gives us energy. It was really nice to get something done on special teams. We felt we've been so close all year. We got some things done, but we've really been frustrated with a little bit of ourselves. Maybe some of the penalties have been called, and we know we've been very, very close. And finally got one done. Always good scoring defense. Those guys are, doing a tremendous job of not only getting turnovers but scoring.
Shaq is going to play on both sides of things. So how challenging do you think that will be this week coming up with the plan for it? And
it's always challenging. You just I don't know if it can be done where you put a guy who's just going to play both ways. So we got to kind of pick and choose our spots and figure it out, not make it too complicated in terms of what we're going to do, and not overwhelm him, and kind of go from there.
Does having him have a 4 or 5 carry drive, which would include maybe a 35, 40-yard run, and he's on the sideline, he's gassed, does that just kind of preclude him then from the defense the next series? He's not coming back out.
I mean, it could. I mean, we just got to ask him,
yeah,
where he's at on all those things. And I mean, really, these guys are in pretty good shape. So, you're carrying the ball, get something big, you come over, catch your breath. The whole thing is, guys will get tired. It's all about how fast you can recover, catch your breath, and let's go before in shape like we semi-think we are.
Right. Have you ever had in your career, either on your team or been around a player, a situation like this where he's a star defensive player, and all of a sudden he's your star running back, and he's no longer the star defensive guy that he was, at least not as frequently? Have you ever been around something like this?
Yeah, I don't think I've been around as good of a football player. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's just a really special football player. And, there's really good running backs out there. There's really good linebackers out there. He's really good at all. And there's probably guys that are, that are out there, but they just, they got depth or whatever, so they don't need them on both sides. And, I mean, I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of cool for Shaq. I think it's cool for our team. I think it's good for, even recruiting. I mean, there's a lot of really good high school players that play 2 ways. And if they're good enough, we'll play you 2 ways. We'll figure out how to maximize your talents and how you can help the team the best.
Chip, your thoughts on Brett Hundley as a passer as well as a bowler?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I mean, it's all the talk about him was the first time we get a chance to really study him. He's, he can throw a strong arm, all those things, and then he's equally, if not more, dangerous even as a runner. And that's what makes him really, really hard. You can cover their guys or get some pressure on him, and there he goes. I mean, that's always so frustrating as a defensive coach.
Can you talk about what Howell forgot how to do this year and how was he?
Plays hard. A lot of pressure on that QB. I think he's done a great job. I really think our D line has done a nice job. I think one of the guys that's really, really, I think there's a couple guys that are underrated. I mean, Howie's kind of the sack master, and Danny Shelton's got some good love in there for appropriate reasons. But I think Andrew Hudson is playing as well as we've seen him play. He comes to work every day. Every detail matters to that guy, and it shows up on Saturday. I mean, he just goes hard. Evan Hudson, is the other guy next to those guys, and everybody wants to talk about everybody else. I mean, that guy's probably as tough as they come. I mean, he rolled his ankle. You can see it on tape, and he knew it was ugly. And that guy missed about 2 plays. And it wasn't one of those rolls where it didn't swell up. It was all of that. And he didn't limp around. I mean, I think all those guys are really doing a nice job. gets to the quarterback more than all of them, but I think they all work pretty well together.
You okay, Evan?
So,
What did you see on film from Seiler, and how's he coming along just in terms of actually just being a quarterback with progressions and reads and checkdowns and all of that?
yeah, he's coming along, you know, I mean, he's making some progress, and there's always a couple in there that you just really want him to hit and get, and then there's some things that are pretty nice. You're like, okay, that's good, that's progress. And that's all we can ask, and that's just how it is. You know, it's just gonna be, are we making some progress? Did you learn from last week? Did you get better in practice? And I feel like we think he's, you know, he can get better. He can make us better. When the passing game gets better, you know, it's gonna help everything. We're running the ball, you know, fairly effectively, but the pass game is what needs to get better.
Over the course of a game, you have a game plan together kind of going in, and you hit some of those big plays, defensively, offensively, so on. Does that change, give you a little more confidence in the play caller, open things up a little more, and certain things start working better than they were?
Absolutely. I mean, when the stuff you got in the game plan starts hitting and creating some momentum, it gives everybody confidence. You know, we're doing some things. And, you know, I think the better team you play, the margin for error is so close. And that's one of the things I think our guys need to continually understand that, you know, open against a good UCLA team, you know, is going to be very, very small. And you got to throw an accurate pass, and the receiver's got to make a tough catch, and that's good, and that's accurate, and that's how it's going to be. It's not going to be like practice where guys are running open by 3 yards. That's not realistic. And so that's the mentality you got to get in terms of making plays.
You may have already been asked this. If you did, I apologize. Dwayne and Lavon, just status for those guys.
Yeah, they're good to go. They're good to go. It's been good because they haven't gotten many reps the last couple of weeks, and out there running around pretty good.
So with Shaq then at tailback, it's not a matter of him being needed because of injury. It's a matter of him just being the best guy you've got at that position.
Yeah, I think so at this point. And I am anxious to get those other guys back in there. You know, I mean, it's been nice to be able to get some explosive runs.
Yeah.
And if we get some more explosive passes, then it's going to help, you know, our point production.
But, John Ross hasn't had a lot of targets or touches the last 2 weeks. How do you kind of?
Yeah, and so, you know, I mean, we're always trying to figure those things out. Whether it's Casey, John Ross, I mean, and so a lot of it comes to practice. You know, those guys are practicing well and showing up. I mean, I think one guy that's done a, you know, really good job over the last few weeks and it's finally starting to show up is Petersen. Practices hard, you know, makes plays in practice, all of a sudden starts to translate into the game. And so we just, you know, keep working those guys and hopefully we can get some things done.
Chris, Jerome Daniels, another player, like the last couple of games has participated. What's his status?
He's okay. He's had, you know, I think 1 week he's kind of had a, you know, tight back, nothing real serious. But I think, you know, you got a guy. What happens is they put the next guy in, you know, Josh Perkins and Harvey, those guys, and they go, they get the reps. And the guys that get the reps, they play in the games unless something happens. And so you got to kind of work your way back. And, you know, nobody loses a spot because of an injury, but you got to be able to show up and practice and go, okay, there he is. You know, he's ready to roll.
You mentioned both in tennis. What did you see at him on Saturday? Was it just they used more and hard, it was kind of a breakthrough, or was it, you felt like it was inevitable? What did you see?
Well, I think in the punt return that he got, you know, we got a really good call. I think we got kind of all convinced. The guys did a nice job forming the ball. And, you know, he's the beneficiary of that nice wall. But he's getting more confident, you know, fielding the ball, trying to look to make some things happen. But I just think at the receiver position, he's not thinking quite as much. And when those guys can play fast and react, it helps.
As a depth and filling your linebackers, what's allowed you to keep Shaq off the side of the ball?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when you take a guy like him out of there, you start getting nervous because nobody has enough depth. But we do have some decent players in there, but you take Shaq out of there, now we're thin, and some guys are doubling up different positions and kind of waters things down. So it's not just as easy as taking a guy out and going, hey, we're good. It does make that position a little bit more vulnerable. You know, all those linebackers play on special teams. And so they get more reps there, they get more reps on defense, and it's just not as easy as, you know, people make, hey, Shaq's a running back and we're all good. And there's a lot of things going on pretty good on defense to allow that to happen out of those linebacker guys.
Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen from Keyshawn Bierria over the last few weeks?
I think he's progressing, you know, redshirt freshman. I think he's playing hard. I think he really cares. And, you know, he's one of those guys that it's fun to watch him play and see how hard he goes. And again, we're using him on special teams a lot. And that has an effect. You know, it does. Most guys get their reps increased. And so I think he's progressing. He's a fun guy to watch because he's young and you like to watch progression. Guys, you know, you can really see it. Like, okay, this guy's getting better. And I think that's what he's doing.
Chris, have you crossed paths much with Jim Moore professionally, and did you know you had his dream job?
No, I don't. You know, I met him. I think I might have met him for the first time this year, and some of the meetings we had, and that's it. Yeah.
Chris, just back to what you said about Ross and practice, I just want to make sure I heard you right. So, I mean, is he not giving the effort in practice that you want
No,
to
it's
see?
nothing with that. You know, John had been banged up a little bit over the couple of weeks and those type of things. And so, you know, we just always go back to when guys can practice full speed, practice hard and all those things, it will show up eventually. And whether it's our running backs, you know, or our tight end we're talking about, and that's part of the game. You're gonna have to play with a little bit banged up and hurt. But, you know, if you can't practice to improve, and you're not, you know, it usually shows up. And so, I mean, I think there's some of those things going on, you know, at a lot of positions. But that's, I mean, how many games we played now, and that's where we are. This is like the tough part of the season. This is where the tough guys, you know, tough guys show up.
Coach, you talk about
hurt for those guys who are, expand on that in general. Guys hurt, he's coming back, he's getting better, and mentally he wants to get ready for that game, and as a coach, you've got to have him playing full speed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is that a challenge sometimes?
It's really a challenge. I mean, because it's hard to practice, let alone practice when you're not 100%. And some guys are better than others. And those that can be better at it, you know, I mean, it shows up on game day. If you don't take a lot of reps and all those things, I mean, I just don't believe in those guys that, hey, you know, I'm a gamer. Get me to the game. And I know guys can have a good game and those rare things happen, but that's rare. Guys can, you know, have a little fortune to stay healthy, and those guys who can have a lot of toughness and work through hurts. And some guys are injured. We always make a difference between that. When you're injured, you can't go. You're really going to hurt your team. You're going to hurt yourself. You might set yourself back. And so that's why we got a great medical staff to really kind of differentiate between, you know, he needs to slow down. He needs to not go and get him healed up. But I think at this point, if you're playing all healthy, you got to go to Las Vegas and let it ride. You've got a lot of luck on your side at this point.
Coach, you talk, you know, about bankable reps, and you know, with all of your new processes and everything you're implementing new, and what your expectations are for practice, are guys still adjusting? You know, and trying to figure out adjustments of what you expect out of them?
Absolutely. They're not going to get it like in, you know, 2 months. I mean, they're adjusting, and so not only are they adjusting for that, but getting better in practice and playing against good teams. It's just really hard. I mean, all this is hard work. It's just not going to happen in 1 week. And so, you know, you take a team that's, you know, been together for a handful of years, and you have your way of doing things, and the kids get it and all that. It's still hard to go out there and practice and get better and win games, and let alone we're still like figuring some things out. And you know, it's so competitive. I mean, everybody's got good coaches. Everybody's got really good players. And so you're splitting hairs, and all this stuff matters.
To follow up, do you feel like you've made progress?
I think we're making progress. I think it's one step, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I feel like that. And it's hard and it's frustrating. I think you talk to anybody that's new, it is not unique. It's not unique to us. But I appreciate the kids. You know, I appreciate that they're working hard. I appreciate that they're trying. And I think we are making progress.
With Shaq playing a little defense this week, as you said, was that something that he asked you, or is this more game related?
No, I mean, I know, I don't know. I think Shaq's a defensive guy at heart, but I'm not really sure that. I think he's played over there a long time, so that's where he feels his home is. And, you know, he's played with a lot of those guys for a lot of years, and so he likes to be out there, but I know he likes carrying the ball and doing that as well. And, you know, he's a good player, and so however we can get him on the field as much as we can, we want to do.
Chris, this is going back to 2 weeks ago. Did you ever get any explanations in the league on the running into the punter penalty on the block?
So they said it was hard to see on the tape whether he blocked the ball, because if he blocks the ball, there's no running into the
Right.
and so that's what they didn't see.
Does that jive with you, or?
That's the explanation we got. That's the question you asked.
Chris, when you look at UCLA's game against Washington last Saturday,
Yeah.
what showed up on tape, especially on defense that maybe hadn't shown up to that point?
For who?
For UCLA.
I think UCLA is really good. I mean, it's, you know, again, you watch these teams from afar, and you watch them on TV, like I watch them a little bit, I just see a little here and there, and then you put them on and study them, and you're like, okay. And that's what it is. These guys are really good. They play, they're athletic, they're physical, they know exactly what they're doing. There's no guy out there, and they're young. Really got young guys. And so, you know, their rankings and all those things are completely legit. This is one of the better teams without question. We put the tape on and you go, okay, these guys are pretty good.
Was there something that showed up in that particular game that maybe, because they were it's been kind of a mixed bag for them until last weekend?
Yeah, and so, you know, you go back and watch a few of their games, and you watch teams progressing and getting better, and that's what I saw. And I saw guys playing really, really hard with a lot of energy and urgency. It was impressive.
Chris, the TV cameras caught Mora having an altercation, verbal altercation with one of his assistants a couple of weeks ago on the sidelines. The sidelines are very emotional, very intense. How do you check yourself from having that happen?
It's hard. I mean, it's just an emotional game, you know, and it's so painful because, you know, whether it's on camera or whatever, it is so emotional down there. And, you know, you put so much into it, and, you know, you're trying to do the right thing and, you know, get things right. And, you know, emotions are high, and it's hard to keep it even keel. It really is.
How do you check yourself?
Trust me, I don't even kind of feel like I look half the time. Now, I don't really know how I look, but I mean, I feel like crying and screaming, throwing tantrum, falling down on the ground. I mean, that's what I really like to do. And it's painful not to do all that stuff. It really is. I mean, it takes a lot of energy just to stand there and catch your breath, and, you know, and yeah, and try to, if you're going to say something, you know, try to say something constructive, which I think if you probably asked our coaches, you know, I got a lot of work to do on that one myself.
Were you ever like that earlier in your career? I mean, you've always seemed to be a pretty even keel guy, but the temper tantrum throwing guy, were you ever like that early?
I mean, like I said, all I can tell you is, you know, how it looks is not how I feel, not even kind of. And it's, you know, if we want our players to, you know, act a certain way, and so, you know, I think our players are challenged in so many ways when we play the game. I think me as a coach is challenged very much when we play the game. I mean, tremendously. I mean, been doing this a long time, and every Saturday you go out there. Every day of practice, you're challenged to, like, you know, really be good and really be a teacher, an educator, a professional, you know, all those things, and it's hard.
Chris, when you talk about teaching and educating, what do you think of face paint as a motivational technique?
As what?
Face paint.
Yeah, we've done it. You know, I mean.
Your assistants as well?
No, I don't know about that. I mean, I know this. You know, you're always trying to, like, I always think we're trying to educate our guys. Like, I want to educate you guys, and you want to motivate them. and motivate them like, and sometimes it's in fun ways, sometimes it's, imagery, it's whatever. And so, hey, whatever works, you just gotta gauge your team, and if that, fires guys up. We've done that in the past ourselves, and the kids get into it. I mean, do they get into it? Do they buy in? Are they in on it? They are. You go.
Did you win?
We did.
Chris, you guys are winless against ranked teams this year. Another one coming on now. What is it going to take for you guys to take down these top two?
Yeah, we're going to have to play, you have to play a really good, clean game. And we haven't done that. We haven't done that. We turned the ball over too much. We haven't had hit enough big plays, those type of things. And that's what has to happen. You're not going to be able to go over there and play average football and beat one of these ranked teams. And they're ranked, especially this late into the season, they're ranked for a reason. Early on it can be polls and all this kind of stuff. But when you get this late in the season, guys are learning things. And it's showing up on tape. And so for us to be a really good team, we have to play really good, consistent football. It can't be, 3 quarters of the game, that was pretty good, but we had these handful of plays that really killed us. You're not going to beat a team like this.
Coach, let's kind of tale of two halves for your defense on Saturday. What would you say, adjustment-wise or maybe just energy-wise from the defense in the second half that kind of took the script?
Yeah. I thought what was good on defense is we got some turnovers. We got 3 on defense, 1 on special teams, scored. I thought all that was awesome. I think there were some times where we tackled very poorly, that we need to play with more passion and emotion, no doubt about it. And I think our guys will tell you that as well. And that goes back to that consistency that we're talking about right there. We do that, this week, we'll be good.
The poor tackling seems to be something you're bringing up after every game. Can you talk a little bit about that and what needs to be done?
So, it's fundamental football and really hard to do. When you show me good offense, I'm going to show you a lot of missed tackles. So part of that is they got good players in space. That's what this game's all about. So it's not going to all be clean. Guys are going to break tackles. But I look at it as only running the ball and helping the guy that's singled up out there. So if he does miss, we slow him down and somebody else can make the tackle. Everybody's going to miss tackles. Better, more efficiently if we get at it. That's what we're talking about.
Is it harder to coach that during the season than it was 10, 20 years ago, where you really got to watch the collision and wear and tear on players?
I think we're a little bit wiser, and I think there's a fine line, and I think it's way more delicate and complicated than, I don't know, maybe some people will figure it out, but I know, because like, you're nervous about getting guys banged up at all times, let alone losing in practice, but if you don't go hard and practice, what are we talking about here? You got to get better, and so there's no staying the same. There's just not. There's not in life, and there's not in football. You either get better or you're going down. There's no staying the same. And so that's obviously something that the fundamentals, day one fundamental, and so we got to do a better job of running the ball, wrapping guys up, and we got to practice that.
Chris, I'll just talk about Shaq and running back. How about John Ross in corner? Was that?
So, we're always experimenting. We'll always try to move guys around. If somebody can help us on the other side of the ball, if somebody's being, can make more of an impact. And like I said, we can play a guy 2 ways. We'll do that. So we're always experimenting, just seeing, is there something more to get explosive guys on the field and seeing if they can help us.
We mentioned it a couple times, like 2 different national outlets. Shaq is kind of a dark horse, fringe Heisman candidate. Do you have any thought on that?
So I think I'd go back to asking you guys, because you guys are the guys that do this stuff. What is the Heisman Trophy winner? What is it? Yeah. Someone help me with that, and then I can answer your question.
In theory, the best college football player in the country. In theory.
So theory, can you take that out, or is that what it is?
Depends on how you approach it.
Hey, I don't get a chance to watch everybody around the country, but I do see a lot, and I haven't seen a better football player out there than that guy. Better flat-out football player. Your words, best football player in college football. And I haven't seen, maybe somebody's saying and all those type of things, but football player, There's some good ones out there, but what this guy does in terms of special teams and offense and defense and all those things, I'm sick about it.
What's UCLA's your strengths?
I think the easier way to answer that question is, I really don't see a bunch of weakness. I think that's their strength. They don't have, well, they, you know, this guy's a true, you know, they play a couple true freshmen, I think, but they're good. I mean, they're good. And I think that's their, you know, their strength is they don't really have, you know, all this, you know, a position group that's a little bit of their Achilles heel. Like they put the defense on, they fly around, they know about their offense and the quarterback, and you know, they do the same thing with Miles Jack and move him around. They get good players on the field as much as they can. I mean, I'm really, really impressed with this program, with this team.
Can you touch bases on the offensive line? You guys do a lot of shuffling on Saturday.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's usually how it goes in the O-line, you know. I mean, those guys are banging every single play, and you know, we move guys around even earlier in the season than this, just to make sure that we can crossbreed and all those type of things, and tackles to guards and guards to center. So if you get a guy game, it's not like, all my stars, what are we doing now? And you know, James and Toe got kicked out to tackle. He's played a little bit there before, and I think he did a really nice job.